Hello everyone, I am Pravindra Chandramohan from University Pendidikan Sultan Idris. My today's topic is case study about transformational and transactional leadership style. Transformational leadership is the process of developing people who are responsible to develop their organization by achieving the stated goals and objectives. Although achieving goals is important, more methods are used during the process also important. Indeed, the emphasis on means what makes transformational leadership stand out from the leadership styles. Transformational leaders show trust, confidence, and bet on team members' high ethical and moral standards. Transactional leadership, sometimes known as managerial leadership, is concerned with the supervision, organization, and performance of a group. Leaders who employ this approach focus on specific duties and inspire their followers through prizes and penalties. Transactional leadership is built on an exchange or transaction. The leader rewards workers who do their jobs to require their levels and punishes workers who do not. Case study 1, Transformational Leadership. Ron was a young leadership consultant and researcher who received a call from the chairman of the board directors of a private business college. The chairman has received many complaints about the principal, Professor James, and a senior faculty member, Professor Susan. The chairman feared that if no remedial action was taken immediately, the college may be have to be closed after 1 week. Ron proposed that both Professor James and Professor Susan should be removed from their positions immediately. Since there was no time uh, available to look for a new principal, he offered his services on a 3-year contract. Finally, the board of members declared that services of the Professor James and Professor Susan were terminated and Ron was appointed as new principal. He compiled a list of all concerns and apprehensions and ranked them in order of their importance, harshness, and significance. He devised a time-bound strategy to address each of them. Ron convened an all-faculty meeting and sought for volunteers to teach the 3 subjects where there were no teachers available for those subjects. Ron began a monthly subscription services, which is meeting of the management team with the marketing team and the teachers. Two disgruntled faculty members were discovered to be circulating rumors and damaging stories during this time. He decided to fire them right away before the poison spread any further. He made certain that everyone knew why he was leaving as a warning to others, as well as to ensure that no one could cause any misinterpretations. Ron implemented a number of training and development programs to help his employees improve their skills. As a result, when the chairman revived, reviewed the situation, he found that things had improved dramatically in the college. Industry grants has increased to receive to record levels. A large number of students were applying to the college for admission, and the college had an enviable record of paying all its graduating students several months before their courses ended. The number of research papers published by the faculty was at a record high. The atmosphere in the college was great. The faculty, administrative staff, and the students had very good relationship with one another. Ron clearly set goals and objectives and demonstrated his integrity. He clearly communicated and connected with the various stakeholders to building bridges, breaking barriers, and removing bottlenecks. He encouraged, supported, and inspired his people to transform the educational institution to a greater heights of success. Hence, Ron was actually a transformational leader. Case study 2, Transformational Leadership at Fortune 500 Company. Betten Global is a financial services company with over 500 million in assets under management. Management found sales leader defaulted to thinking in short term, rely heavily on the past expertise, focus on the compliance of team members, and emphasizing execution over planning. So, Betten Global partnered with the organization to create a transformational leadership curriculum crafted upon the unique opportunities and challenges facing sales leader. A development program was created to provide practical tools and applications for the sales leader to use with their teams. To more integrate their management, BG leadership coaches facilitated workshops and conducted individual coaching sessions with the sales leader over the course of 3 months. BG conducted a research to identify the and business unit strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats, along with the industry factors influencing the group. Upon completion of the curriculum, BG was asked to deliver the transformation leadership curriculum to each of their individual teams. As a result, sales leader and their team saw improved leadership, performance, and enjoyment of their everyday work. Sales leaders saw changes in their business units' organizational design and commission structure. Sales leaders shared delight in completing the program as they were able to take learnings from the program and use newfound tools during key leadership moments. BG was asked to deliver a similar program to the leader direct reports, and leader openly support their teams during the program sessions. Thus, we can conclude that successful leaders today must have the skill to lead their organizational through the changes required by intensely competitive market in which conventional sales practices and old ways of thinking are no longer sufficient. Case 33, The Effect of Transactional Leadership on Banking on Employees' Performance by 5 Algerian Banking Institutions. The objectives of the study was to determine the relationship between transactional leadership style and employees' performance in 5 Algerian banking institutions. The recommendation was made the managers adopt transactional leadership style that will enable them to successfully integrate and maximize available resources within the internal and external environment for attainment of organizational goals. The effects. Since the leadership is based on the system of rewards and penalties, it does not offer much in terms of inspiration to motivate people to go beyond on the basis. The followers of the transactional leaders might get complacent and develop a tendency to achieve minimal expectation only that would help them avoid penalties, as it can be observed a transactional leaders relies heavily on the power and authority to lead his members. Power play and the use of reward penalty system thus play an integral role in such as leadership style as discussed through variable research. Transactional leadership measures are not so effective and in most cases can demotivate employees. There are suggestions that effects of leadership styles on employee performance are dependent on the organizational context and settings. Transactional leaders make use of reward and coercive power. Coercive power is based on the target's perception that the agent has the ability to inflict various organizational punishments, and it appears the transactional leaders are more likely to adopt coercive power. Working in fear or losing one's job or fear or demonstration only makes an employee ineffective and unproductive because the employee spends most of his or her time worrying about the consequences if the expectation of the leaders are not met. As a result, five Algerian banks show that there are no significant statistical relationship between transactional leadership style and organizational performance. Another high correlation value between transactional leadership style and performance showed that when employees had a sense of emotional attachment with their organization, it was due to the achievement that they acquired during of course of the time. On the contrary, the literature review showed transactional leadership is style found to be generally positively and significantly related to performance, which pertains to the provision of either positive rewards in case of meeting and established goals or negative rewards when the performer failed to achieve their desired objectives. This builds a strong relationship with job success. Case study 4. The impact of Malay transactional leadership style on employee performance, the Malaysia pharmacy industry perspective. This case study is focusing on employee from a private sectors which is pharmacy store especially in Malaysia. The significance of the study is to identify how transactional leadership style will influence employee job performance and identifies the appropriate leadership style that's suitable for the employment job performance in organization. Based on the hypothesis, there is a significant relationship between the Malay transactional leadership and employee performance. According to the population and sample technique, the population of this study is the total employees of the pharmacy, especially in Malaysia. Solution: a total of 108 questionnaires were distributed to pharmacy store, especially in Malaysia. The respondents were questioned about the leadership style, which is transactional leadership. They also questioned on their performance. The collected data were analyzed using the statistical package for the Science Social SPSS software version 22.0. Malay transactional leadership has a 6 question and 6 question on dependent variable section measured by. For independent variable and dependent variable, the respondents are required to give a scale to answer the question. The linear scale is 1 to from 1 to 5, which is start strongly disagree, disagree neutral, agree and strongly agree. To determine the reliability of the scale, both dependent variable and independent variable were measured using the Cronbach alpha value. As result, based on the descriptive analysis, the mean value 4.1065 to 4.140507. For the independent variables, the highest mean is transactional leadership, which is 4.1407 with 0.56981 standard deviation. For the dependent variables, which is employee performance, the mean is 4.1065 with standard deviation 0.61795. Based on the correlation analysis, transactional leadership having 0.973% correlation. The Cronbach alpha for the employee performance dependent variable shows a questionable result, which is 0.796. Meanwhile, for the both dependent variable are also questionable. The Cronbach alpha transactional leadership is 0.740. Thus, the independent variables can be considered have a strong relationship with the dependent variables. The results show that it have a significantly relationship between employee performance and transactional leadership. Finally, regression analysis shows transactional leadership have a significant effect on employee performance, which show 0.000. As a conclusion, hypothesis of the study has proven analysis of challenges faced by Nike. The problems are the apparel industry is struggling. After that, women's athleisure is getting more crowded by the day. Then finally, the most popular product might be going out of the style. Suggestions on management solutions. Nike should involve effective cost management strategies in its business operation to effectively manage these costs. Nike should seek strategies that will make the corporation attain competitive advantage and should identify its strengths in the market and based on them in attaining competitive advantages. Nike should focus on improving labor relation and condition of factory at the production system. To make total quality management successful, supervisor must show his full commitment in leading his employees and must try to develop faith and promise by the implementing practices of TQM. Moreover, the company has many opportunities which can utilize to develop and improve the merchandise blend to attract a large crowd of consumers, and mostly the individuals who are not athletes or involved or not interested in sports. Conclusion. Leaders can recognize themselves in their action, such as transactional and transformational leadership. Transactional leadership explains how leaders and followers interact in a realistic, independent, and mutually beneficial way. In contrast to self interest, transformational leadership encourages self motivation and improve group thinking. In conclusion, different researchers studies over the last 2 decades have concluded that transformational leadership is extremely important in corporate organizations. But we cannot overlook the usefulness of transactional leadership theory. The study of transactional and transformational leadership demonstrates the organization work environment. It facilitates contact between leaders and followers, which is critical for an organization's growth. Perhaps the relationship between the leader and co-workers determines the organization growth and cultural understanding. Thank you for watching this video.